Well, good day and welcome to the channel. I'm Rob Willett and you're watching your Inner Being channel. And today we're going to do something completely off topic. So just ignore the fact that this doesn't pertain to anything that's on this channel. It's not mindfulness, it's not outdoor living, it's not connecting with nature or anything like that. This is a total one-off and there's a reason for it. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to give you my countdown for the worst and best movies that I've seen this year. Now let me explain first the reason why we're doing this. I love movies, and movies is going to the movie theater in particular is a bit of my drug. I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have any real bad habits, but where my money gets dumped into is going to the movie theater. And in fact, I'm so passionate about it that I even created a channel, Tang's Movie Review, that I started last year, and I did it for 1 year and it didn't really take off. And so I had to concentrate on one of my channels, and this is the channel I decided to do that with. But I tell you right now that there's still this fun passion in me to want to share some of that experience. So that's exactly what we're doing today. And so again, don't subscribe to the channel thinking that you're going to get more of this, and please don't unsubscribe to the channel because you're afraid or fear that I'm going to continue this. This is just a one-off thing, and maybe I'll do it again next year. So sit back and relax. Enjoy a little bit of coffee or whatever it is, and I'll give you my quick review, my countdown for the year, and as we kind of reflect on some of the best and worst movies that came out in 2024. So I've decided that I'm going to start off with the worst movies of 2024 and then follow that up by the best. There is a system and how I rate this. And it's not necessarily about the best movie and how it was written or anything like that. Sometimes it is about emotional connections that I have with the film, whatever resonates the most. But honestly, for the most part, I'm looking at these movies as my theater experience, my going out and having a good time experience. Did I have a good time when I went and checked these films out? So that's what we're rating these on. So I'm going to start again off with the worst films of 2024. Starting off with number 10 is Alien Romulus. I really digged the idea that we were coming back to the Alien franchise. It felt very much like an Alien movie. However, I found that there was a lot of the same. Alien comes into a ship, people are stuck in dark rooms and fighting their way through, and the ending was just where it flopped for me. So it was fine, it was good, and but it wasn't the big banger I was hoping it would be. Now moving on to the 9th place film is The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Honestly, I don't even remember what this movie was about. I'm trying to reflect back in time and thinking like, I really don't remember a lot of the film, but I do remember my feelings for it, thinking that when I left the movie theater, it wasn't that bad. And when I make these lists, by the way, I come home straight away and I mark them on my list on my board, and that way I keep track of my list throughout the whole year. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes at number 9, I guess is where it sits, and I don't really remember it at all. Now, coming in at number 8 is Kraven the Hunter. Honestly, this is the latest Sony Spider-Man verse bad guy film, and I didn't feel like this character was the bad guy he's supposed to be. Like, he's supposed to be an anti-hero in this film, and I felt like he was very much a good guy. I feel like near the ending of the movie is where this movie should have started from, and so there was a bit of a waste of narrative, a bit of a waste of time, really. Moving on to number 7 is a bit of a disappointment because I really liked the first film, and that was Beetlejuice 2. Again, a lot of the problems that these movie makers are having is this nostalgia bait kind of film, and that's not always a bad thing, and I'll explain that. You'll see that later as I get to some of the good movies and how it's supposed to be done. But Beetlejuice 2 missed a lot of opportunities. In fact, it was probably too much crammed into one movie. If they would have just taken out some elements of the movie and just let it flow, it would have been higher on the list. Moving to number 6 is Rebel Moon, the director's cut. Now, Rebel Moon came out in 2023, and I watched it in 2023. However, it was so disappointing because we all knew at the time that they were coming up with a director's cut that was going to be put into the next year. 2024 is when the director's cut came out. It was better than the version they had before, but this one still didn't make the cut for anything good. Number 5 is another disappointment, and that was Fall Guy. There's nothing wrong with Fall Guy. It's just kind of bland. There was some funny moments in this. Great actors, having a good time, but it really didn't go far. It really wasn't interesting, and it was definitely a movie that you're going to forget in time. So the next is number 4, and this is a movie a lot of people ended up enjoying, except for me, and that was Civil War. I found that Civil War was playing off a lot of the psychological aspects of people's behavior, and as you know, I am a behavior analysis protege, we'll say. I love dabbling in the arts of the mind and people's behavior, and it was a movie that was playing off of that. So there's a lot of things that didn't excite me in particular because I already knew a lot of the things that they were presenting here, and they just told it in a way that was, to me, very generic. But a lot of people were mind blown by it, and it may have been the psychological exploration that they put into the film, but it just wasn't for me. Number 3, which is again another disappointment because I was excited because I like the franchise, and that's A Quiet Place, Day One. Unfortunately, they ended up telling this story that was unnecessary, and it kind of just was boring, if you ask me. They did a lot of the same things that we had already seen, which were already done better in the previous film. So this was, again, a bit of a dud. Now, number 2 is Argyle. I was really looking forward to it. It looked like it was going to be a lot of fun, and there was a lot of elements in this movie that was a lot of fun, but they really mixed up their story, and they just made choices that were going in crazy directions, and then it's like they changed the mood. They changed the flavor throughout the film multiple times, not even once. It just here's what they're presenting, and then it changes into a different flavor, then it changes into a different flavor, and you'd think a 3-course meal would be great, except for the dessert was totally off topic and totally out to lunch, and it just didn't work. So quite the big disappointment there. And then number one on my list for the worst movie of 2024 is Kung Fu Panda 4, which is a bit of a shock because I love the Kung Fu Panda series. In fact, I really love number 1 and I love number 3 in particular. They just didn't need to make a number 4, and that doesn't mean that they shouldn't make it. It's just that it was written for almost like TV. It wasn't meant to be on the grand scale of a big movie theater. The story was blah, and a lot of the jokes were the jokes that you've already seen before. So Kung Fu Panda was the biggest disappointment and the biggest, flattest movie of the year. Whew. Take a drink, take a sip, because we're moving into the good stuff next. All right, I'm excited. I'm going to do a countdown from 10 to 1 of the best movies of 2024. Getting right into it. At number 10 is Godzilla X Kong. Again, this is a movie that I don't really remember a whole lot of. And there's a better reason why I don't remember a lot of it, because there's not a lot of story to this one. This one is more action than anything. I remember the feeling that I had in the movie theater. We went and I got one of those vibrating seats, the D boxes, that shook and moved at every step and every breath that the creatures were making. It was pretty awesome. So my overall experience for Godzilla X Kong was actually huge. But I have to say that in a way of overall, as time had gone by, it felt like forever ago. I was even thinking, oh my God, does this even happen in 2024? It was a good movie. It was exciting. And yeah, number 10. Number 9 is Furiosa. This one here was pretty cool. It wasn't a perfect movie. In fact, it has some flaws. But what I really liked was the addition of Chris Hemsworth playing the bad guy, and he really did a good job. It just, the whole thing, the style, everything was working, and so I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. At number 8 is Monkey Man. Had no idea what this movie was going to be like, except for it looked like it was going to be some sort of play off of John Wick. And it's close, but what I am happy to say is that it wasn't a ripoff of John Wick at all. It was a guy with a simple story. He had to move up the ranks to get to the big baddie, and the way he did it and the crap that he had to go through in order to get there, man, it was a thrill ride. And you looked at the character and you weren't sure if he was going to come out of here safe and alive. And so when they do that always makes me excited for the hero. So that, like, it wasn't an easy ride, and the action was great, and the look of it was great, and I had a lot of fun. Monkey Man was a surprise. Do watch it if you haven't seen it already. Now, at number 7, this is a tough one because I really wasn't sure where I was going to put it. When I think about it, the more I think about it, it kind of feels like it goes up on the list more or down on the list more, and that is Wild Robot. What a nice, beautiful movie this is, and it really tugs at the heartstrings a little bit, but really it's just a fun, interesting story that I thought was going to be a basic story of a robot stuck on Earth. I thought maybe it was an alien. My goodness, it was a beautiful movie. It was a nice story, and in the end, you just felt good. So anytime you get a good, feeling good movie, makes you walk out of that theater feeling good, man, it goes high on the list. So at number 7 is where it stands. Coming in at number 6 is Sonic 3. I didn't really care for number 2, and so I was worried that number 3 was just going to be a continuing off of number 2, but they threw in a lot of the flavor of number 1, which is what I liked. And so this movie was fun. Jim Carrey's playing 2 versions of his bad character, Robotnik, and you could tell he's having a good time. When they're having a good time, they knew what they were making. They weren't trying to hide the kind of flavor they were giving with this movie, and they delivered. Coming in at number 5, it's got a lot of quirky jokes. It almost feels like it's for children, but it's not. This movie, although it plays for children, does play for adults as well. I mean, there is a huge character arc in here, and they do it very well. Do they do this with humor? They do. In fact, the humor changes along with the character growth. And so that was pretty cool too, to feel like you're going from this immatureness to something that was much more mature at the end. And it was done beautifully, and I had a lot of laughs, and again, a rocking good time. In at number 4 is Venom 3. A lot of 3s here. It was a good ride. It was a fun journey from beginning to end. In fact, part of that journey was this family of hippies, which people didn't like, but I did. I connected with the hippies. I was like, yes, these are my guys. And I'll tell you, they made it through to the end, and they were a part of the ending. I loved it. So Venom 3 was a good ride. If it's the closure of the Venom series, it's a good way to close it off, which I think we all know if you've seen the movie that there are good potentials for future Venom movies, but we'll see. Now, number 3 for me is a movie that's probably not on many people's list, but it too, for me, was a surprise and a good run, and that was Twisters. Twisters I had absolutely everything in the right amount of dose. It was humorous. It had a good story. It was all over the place in the right amount of doses. This was a well done, if I can say this, it was a well done movie, and it hit all the notes that made me feel good. The music in this movie played to the right. It's country-ish music, and it's not my thing. But I'll tell you, it felt perfect in the movie. It hit all the right emotional notes like it needed to. The recipe for a wonderful movie is all sprinkled in here in the right amount, and I did enjoy it a lot. And number 2 is Dune 2. So when I sit back and I think about the story, this is where the movie shines. It really does a great job of telling a compelling story, and the visuals are second to none. Beautiful movie, beautiful score, beautiful acting. This movie is a work of art, and it stands at number 2. Now, at number 1 is Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this is an example of what I'm talking about when they're giving you, that nostalgia, remember berries kind of thing to get you excited. And basically a lot of it is just a lot of nostalgia stuff thrown at you. And there is something fun about this and something that's negative about this. And as a movie-going experience, I had a great time. And I will say, I knew every children on the planet was going to see this. It was a totally R-rated movie, not appropriate for children. But being Marvel's only really big movie of the season, I knew everybody was going to bring their children, and I wasn't wrong. I go to the movie theater and everyone's brought their children and everyone's talking to me about it afterwards. Did you bring your kid? Yeah, I did. And it was a good time. And it's kind of like one of those guilty pleasures is what I put Deadpool. And it definitely was a guilty pleasure. It's not going to age very well. So in 5 years, 10 years, looking back at Deadpool 3, I'm not going to feel like it was a number 1 movie of the year. I'm not going to feel that excitement anymore. The amount of advertising and how they advertised to people was part of the fun. And so Deadpool and Wolverine, this whole thing was put into a beautiful little box, and you opened it up, and it was fun and exciting. And the most fun and exciting that I had all year of all the films that I went and saw. So this definitely stands at number 1, and it's hard to budget from there when I look at the criteria that I'm going for. So that's it. That was my rundown of the worst and best movies of the year. Sorry if it took a little bit long. Like I said, normally I split this into 2 different videos, one for the worst and one for the best. But because we're just getting this out of the way, it does not belong here on this channel. But I'm doing it anyway, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you even make your own list and maybe put that down into the comments down below. You'll never be wrong if it's the way you honestly feel. I know that my list may not be jiving with your list or whatever it was, but I do see a lot of films in the year, and it just makes me excited to sit back and just review what I saw and share that with the people. So even though my old channel is still up, by the way, if you wanted to go there and check it out and maybe subscribe, maybe I'll come back to it in 2025. If I can get some subscribers there could be an argument made to come back and do the Tangs movie review over there. I'll leave a link in the description. You can check that out if you want to. But remember one thing, that was an experiment project, so if the video quality isn't up to par, it just is what it is. And that's all I have to say. So anyway, until next time, look forward to my next videos, and I look forward to seeing you again. Take care, everyone. Enjoy life. Take care, and I wish you well.